All right, welcome, welcome, welcome. It is 7:03 right now, and I've got all this sound coming through here. Hopefully, you can't hear that sound. No, wait a minute. I hear myself coming through here, so that should not be happening. Let me change that up. And there we go. Welcome to the show. It is 7:03, November 11th. Thinking of all the veterans and everybody who served for our countries. So we honor and respect all of you who have families, for people who served and for our freedom, and never forget that. Today's show, we are talking about the third piece of the 7-part series. I'm having trouble with my Notion today, but hopefully I think I got my notes back up here. We're talking about a 7-part series that is discussing. Let me just get back to the 7-part series so I can tell you exactly what we're doing today. We're going to be talking actually about the pain and the problem, which are two separate things, and they sound like the same, but they're not. Welcome on the Instagrams, Elsie Marie. Is that right? Elsie Marie, did I get that right? Thank you for joining. Let us know if you're here with the hashtag live or hashtag replay. I'd just like to know when people are joining, and if you have any questions, any feedback, let me know in the chat because I'm here to answer and talk about everything. So here's where we've been. Here's where we're going with everything. This is the first thing we did was 2 weeks ago, which was the dream client definition. That was the calibration phase of getting really in tune with who your dream client is and what you serve them and how you solve their problem. The crisis is really what the problem is, and that was last week where we're talking about the crisis. And I'm going to show you again the dream client canvas. That's where everything is built from. That's the main worksheet or the underlying thing that I do with all clients. And when anybody's looking at marketing and getting their message a little bit clearer. Today is about the problems and the pain, which is also the connection phase. So actually, let me show you here. And let me get that out of the way. I got this thing here. Okay, cool. This is the problem and the pain, the dream client canvas. I know on the Instagrams it's a little bit harder to see because let me just zoom in for 1 second so you could see that maybe on the Instagrams. That's the entire dream client canvas. We are working on the middle piece here now, which is the pain and the problems, which are right here, pain and the problems. And the reason why I'm telling you that they're different is because when you, let me go back to my notes. I'll make sure that I'm hitting everything today. Sorry, come on. Yeah, everything's really slow today on Notion. I don't know why. Okay, cool. So what the pain is what they're dealing with on a day-to-day basis after they've discovered that they have a crisis. When I mean they, it's your dream clients. So this is the surface level. It's persistent problems and pains that follow the crisis. So your content actually meets them where they're living right now. And this is where a lot of the times when I'm looking at people's content or what they're emailing, anything like that, it doesn't really discuss what people are going through on a daily basis. And even if they are, they're talking about surface level problems. See, the problem is observable and repeatable. It's not this one-off story. So if you're not connecting, if you're not making sales, if people aren't reaching out to talk to you, you have not yet nailed what they want solved, the problem, and really the pain, which is what we're going to talk about today. Language is the verbatim of clients phasing, not our interpretation. So this is why I'm so addicted to having conversations. And what I'm talking about is not sales conversations, but just discovery type of conversations. Is like, what's going on? Tell me what's happening. When was the last time that happened? Walk me through it, that type of thing. And I'm capturing almost everything, which is what I just said to you now, where my transcription is not really working on Notion now for me to actually transcribe what I'm talking about here. So it's a critical distinction between problem and pain. And let me explain that to you. The problem is that surface level thing that they talk about. They can identify that. It's usually an external, but it is the cause of a deeper pain. And so they talk about the problem on the surface, but they don't really talk about what the pain is, what's causing that problem. And sometimes they don't even know. So the pain is that internal crisis brought on by the problem. So there's a world of difference, like I said, between a problem and a pain. So the promise, and you can see this here. Let me go back to my, yeah, you can see this here on the iPad. We won't talk about that today, but you can see the promise is the problem and the pain combined with the desire. But I'm foreshadowing. We're going to get there a little bit later on, okay? But you got to make sure that you articulate the clear problem first, and then you connect to a pain that people actually feel, and that will help your clients understand the cost of living without your product, without the service. And this is the reason why I continuously talk about the problems and pains in different ways, but basically they're the same. So I'm explained to everyone that I understand them in a way that maybe no one else understands them. So your promise, your offer solves the problem and it eliminates the pain. So make sure you articulate that clear problem. So let me give you some examples. This is my go-to example. And let's say that if you have a dog service, like a training dogs and helping people stop their dog from biting, this would be one of the examples of this, where like a regular one may say, well, stop your dog from biting. That's the problem. So you have the confidence to be around people again, which is the pain. You follow? There's a complete different thing. So if you if like a competitor had you stop your dog stop your dog from biting, that's the promise. That's totally fine. But when you go just the level deeper, which is how you articulate what that actual problem is, because somebody with a dog is probably a social person, right? And they don't want to take their dog out with the idea that it might bite somebody, and it could get called, the Humane Society could get called, and their dog could be taken away from them and put down, and that's a huge pain. So, but you don't have to go to that level, but understanding that people want to be around other dogs and not be biting, that's huge. So the breakdown is the external problem is the dog biting everyone, right? And that's where most people stop. I'll help your dog stop biting. I'll help your dog stop biting in 2 hours, like whatever. And the internal pain is the lack of confidence. They can't have friends over when their dog is there because the dog's going to jump on everybody and bite them. The deeper pain is the word that the dog could be taken away, like I said, by authorities. So there's two deep pains there that you can tap into. So this is the detective work that you do when you are inside looking for the pain. The problem is what they tell you first. Example is, I don't make enough money, or I don't know what my dream client is, or who my dream client is. That's just a symptom, the surface level thing. You don't need to dig. You should dig for the core, the other way around. You need to dig for the core, the deeper pain that they're dealing with. The question to ask is, why is that a problem? Right? Keep asking until you get to the real pain. And I know it sounds really simple, but do you do that? Do you do the work? So somebody tells me that I don't need to make enough money. Why is that a problem? Right? We know as experts, I call this professor mode, that we've been in this so long, we know what the problem is, we know what the solution is, we know what the pain is. But when you're speaking to somebody, when you want to influence them, when you want to move them towards the sale without being that pressure person, the pressure cooker, and all that other stuff, is to be more inquisitive, to be the detective, to jump into their world, into their situation. So when you ask them why is that a pain, or why is that a problem, then they get deeper and tell you a little bit more of the story. And you don't be a drill sergeant about this either. It's a conversation between two humans, where we have to care. So I want to teach you the pattern of this. So the problem statement frame is, let me get over here. And by the way, if you hear live or on the replay, let me know. A hashtag live or a hashtag replay, and I don't even have my window open for comments and reactions. There we go, just in case some comments come in on the other side. If you're in the Facebook group, I apologize, I don't have the setup that I can be watching my Facebook group right now because I'm using my iPad. That's usually where I get it from. All right, cool. So this is the problem statement frame. Let me get this a little bit here. All right, problem statement frame. Okay. And It is situation to repeated friction. It is situation to equals immediate cost. Immediate cost. Okay. So you're using today language when you're doing this. The questions to ask. You put down maybe like this questions. And these are not just the questions, but here's some ideas of what you can ask. Is why is that a problem? And you keep asking. To get to the real pain. Okay. So let me give you a template. And you can fill this out on what you know or what you find out. So today, when situation happens, I keep bumping into repeated friction. I know my my writing sucks, which costs me specific consequence. Okay, that is one of the templates, one of the frame templates that you could use for this. So let me give you some a little bit more concrete examples. So let's say that from a coach, they'll tell me I need more clients. That's really fuzzy. And the observable on that is, well, tell me a little bit more about that. Like what happened? Can you give me some context on that? And let me just mute this. Maybe that's why I'm getting. There we go. Maybe there was echo. If there was echo, I apologize. So a coach would say to me, I need more clients. I'll say, give me some more context on that. Like, tell me what's been happening. And they'll tell me something like, well, I booked 8 discovery calls in 2 weeks and only one asked about enrollment. And the cost of that is 12 plus hours on calls and 0 revenue, right? So you see the pain there? It's like they don't want to be on discovery calls and not have revenue come out of it. Let me give you another example from creators who are creating content. Let's say my content isn't working. Okay, so you could literally, I see this all the time, and I used to be one of those people, so I'm not pointing any fingers here, where, is like, well, hey, is your content not working? Well, literally, I've got this masterclass coming up to help you with the content. That is okay, but if you get deeper into the reasoning behind it, then it will be a whole lot easier for you. And this is what I'm talking about. So if you say, well, my content isn't working, what's going on? Tell me a little bit more about that. Well, I got posts that are happening. I'm getting comments on that. People are liking it, but no bookings whatsoever. People will DM me and they'll say, hey, quick question, but not how do I start? How do I work with you? So the cost of that is 15 hours of a week answering free questions, right? That's what the thing is. So if I'm smart about this, I can go out and say, look, are you putting out hours and hours of content every single week? And all you're doing is getting DMs and answering free questions, or you're getting DMs to answer free questions. You're not making any money. Like there's a difference between, is your content not working? Do you see what I'm talking about? There's a huge difference there. So what I want you to do is, let me just see if I got any more here before I let you go. Yeah. The micro exercise in this is to list pains in their words. I know I've been saying this forever, but list pains in their own words and circle one with a number attached to it. Like, what's the biggest pains? This will help you understand what it is that you need to reference inside. Go back to the pain right? The pain, the problem. What's the problem? I don't have enough clients. What's happening because of that? Why do you need more clients, or why do you want, what's going on there? And they say, all I do is get on discovery calls, or I'm answering free questions in DMs and nobody's paying me. Okay, that's a big pain. You see the difference between the problem of not getting clients in sales and attaching, well, tell me what's going on. A lot of discovery calls, nobody's booking, nobody's doing that. And I was there. I mean, that was part of what I used to do for years, 3-4 years of getting on discovery calls, being taught how to do that whole thing, which I'm not a big fan of, and having objections handling and all these other things, these cheat sheets up on my monitors, to waiting for the objections so I could give them the objection handling script thingy. And it was frustrating, and I let it go for way too long. But it was like 3 years worth of discovery calls that went nowhere. And I talk about that all the time. If you're a fan of this channel, you probably have heard me say that a million times. I got a banker's box down there full of discovery calls and prep forms that went nowhere because of the way that I used to do things. And that was a pain. So if somebody gave me the solution to that, I would have bought it. There you go. So that is the pain. That is the problem. The difference between the two of them, huge difference. I hope that you got something from this. If you have a question, put it into the comments, put it in the chat, and I will come back and answer them. Thank you for being here live. You here on the replay. Thank you for watching the replay. My name is Joey Ragona. We'll see you next week for another heart-centered marketing show.